Hi, my loves. Welcome back. Today, I wanted to check in on the energy surrounding Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. I want to begin this session with honesty, sensitivity, and clarity. This is not a reading about politics. This is a spiritual check in about a very public figure whose name carries weight, controversy, and pain for many. Please know that I'm not here to excuse, justify, or erase any trauma or harm. I'm simply following a persistent nudge from Spirit to check in. That nudge got even stronger after our recent SCOTUS pendulum check in, where we found out that he did not know about the contest shenanigans before they happened and that he's not helping with the cover up. There may be more happening behind the curtain, and I want to check in on that today. I've been feeling this deep energetic tug, like something is shifting within Kavanaugh's path. Maybe it's regret, maybe it's resistance, maybe it's redemption. Whatever it is, it felt important enough to ask. This tarot session is about his current energy, not his past headlines. We are exploring whether there's any spiritual transformation happening and if spirit may be working through him in unexpected ways. As always, this session is for spiritual insight and entertainment purposes only. Everything shared is alleged. I'm simply the vessel. Trust your intuition, take what resonates with your heart, and lovingly leave the rest. Let's begin. The first question that I asked was, what is the current spiritual or karmic energy surrounding Brett Kavanaugh? The first card we received was the Page of Swords upright, and this is a card of curiosity, watchfulness, delayed communication, and restless mind. The next card we received was the Four of Pentacles upright. And this is a card of control, fear of loss, holding on too tightly, and guarding one's resources or reputation. The next card was the Knight of Swords upright. And this is a card of action-oriented assertiveness and charging ahead without full clarity. The next card was the Two of Swords reversed. This is indecision dissolving, blocked truths coming to the surface, and seeing what one tried to avoid. There's a restless hum in the energy around him, like someone who's been watching from the edge of the storm, unaware whether to step in or stay silent. The Page of Swords tells us that he's alert, maybe even anxious. His mind is flickering with questions and truths he doesn't quite know how to hold. This doesn't feel like ignorance. It feels like a man who knows far more than he's ever admitted, but hasn't yet found the spiritual courage to say it out loud. The Four of Pentacles tightens around this energy like a vice. It's the image of someone still clinging to legacy, status, and the illusion of control. There's fear in this card, fear of what will unravel if his grip loosens even slightly. He may be standing still in public, but energetically, he's in a state of lockjaw, trying to protect something he may not even fully believe in anymore. But then comes the Knight of Swords, fast, driven, and ready to change, and suddenly we feel the tension between stillness and movement. Something within him wants to break loose. There's a part of him that's beginning to question what he defended, whether it's ego, guilt, or a deeper moral pressure building. It feels like his spirit is not as numb as it once was. And the Two of Swords reversed confirms that the veil is lifting. Where there was once stubborn avoidance, there's now a faint glimmer of seeing. He may not be shouting it from the rooftops, but there is an undeniable energetic shift. Denial is cracking, and spirit is watching closely. Together, they're telling us that Brett Kavanaugh's current energy is guarded but unsettled. Spirit shows us a man who is wrestling silently and internally with things that he kept hidden or ignored for a long time. There's fear, but there's also momentum. He may not be ready to speak truths, but he's no longer able to silence them fully either. Something is shifting behind the scenes, and Spirit is circling this energy with watchful intensity. The next question was, is there a sincere desire within him to change or reconcile with past actions, whether known or hidden? The first card we received was the Three of Cups reversed. This is a card of isolation, broken alliances, overindulgence, and regret over past associations. We received the Two of Cups upright, and this is desire for harmony, reconciliation, and mutual connection. The Hermit reversed, and this is avoiding inner truth, fear of solitude, and spiritual stagnation. Knight of Pentacles upright. This is steady, patient growth and a desire to do the work, even if slowly. And the Seven of Cups upright. This is confusion, daydreaming, overwhelmed by choices, and the need to see clearly. This is where it gets tender. The Three of Cups reversed instantly brings through a wave of emotional distance. Spirit is showing us someone who feels cut off, not just from others, but from parts of himself. There's a loneliness here, but it's not the kind that comes from being alone. It's the kind that stems from feeling exiled from integrity, knowing that even among the crowd, the soul is uneasy. He may have once celebrated things that now haunt him. The Two of Cups upright is striking in this spread. It tells us that there is a seed, a real living desire for reconciliation, not just with others, but with his higher self. There is a yearning to be in the right relationship with something sacred again, with truth, with spirit, and perhaps even with those he's hurt or disappointed, directly or indirectly. But the Hermit reverse shows us that he's not quite ready to face himself fully. There's resistance to true solitude, the kind that doesn't just isolate but confronts. He's afraid of what he will find in the silence, and yet that silence is calling him anyway. There's no escape from it anymore. Spirit is gently, yet persistently nudging him to sit with a weight that he's tried to avoid. The Knight of Pentacles brings a glimmer of hope. This card doesn't promise transformation overnight, but it does speak of sincerity, of showing up, of doing the slow, uncomfortable work of change. He may be inconsistent, he may take missteps, but somewhere in his energy, there's an honest will to do better. Spirit is taking the effort, not the speed. And then we reach the Seven of Cups, the card of illusions, of too many voices, too many paths, and not enough clarity. This is where he gets stuck. The old voices that protected ego still whispering, but the newer ones, the ones shaped by conscience and consequences, are getting louder. He's in a fog right now, but he knows it, and the desire to change is real. The path to it is still forming. Together, they're telling us that yes, there is a sincere desire to change, to reconcile, to atone in some form, but it's tangled in confusion, fear, and old conditioning. Spirit shows us that the will is present, even if the way isn't clear yet. He's not pretending everything is fine anymore. He's just not ready to face everything, but the pressure to do so is growing. The next question I asked was, has he undergone any internal awakening or moral reckoning recently? We received the Four of Swords upright, and this is a card of rest, contemplation, and retreat after hardship. Ten of Swords upright, and this is a card that signals final blow, rock bottom, and a painful but necessary ending. Three of Swords upright. This is deep heartbreak, regret, and painful realizations. And the Page of Cups upright. This is emotional openness, vulnerability, a new beginning in the heart. This is heavy. Spirit isn't just confirming that a reckoning has happened, they're showing us that it cracks something wide open. The Four of Swords shows a man spiritually curled up in a fetal position, forced into stillness, not by peace, but by exhaustion of the soul. Something hit him hard. Perhaps it wasn't public, but privately, there has been a reckoning, and it wasn't gentle. The Ten of Swords follows like a shadow, and it makes one thing undeniable. Whatever he believed was unshakable has collapsed. Ego structures, old stories, maybe even his certainty about who he thought he was. This is a collapse that humbles a person to their knees. Spirit is saying, he's been pierced by truth, and he knows it. Then comes the Three of Swords, raw and unfiltered. This is not about public image. This is soul grief, the kind that lingers, and Spirit is being so clear. There is remorse, whether about what has happened, what hasn't, or what he once denied. His heart is not numb anymore. This card doesn't ask us to excuse anything, only to witness the truth that he is no longer untouched. And finally, grace. The Page of Cups appears like a whisper of spirit at his side. This is a card of emotional rebirth, of someone willing, for the first time in a long time, to be soft. It doesn't mean that he's become the page, but it means the door to him is opening, and the voice within, the child, the soul, is starting to speak again. Together, they're telling us that yes, without a doubt, Spirit confirms that he's endured a private, possibly ongoing moral reckoning. It broke something inside of him, but what's growing in the aftermath is a quieter, more self-aware version of himself. He may never speak of this awakening publicly, but behind the robes and rulings, there is something real stirring, and Spirit is sitting with him through it. My next question was, is there a gap between his public persona and his private spiritual energy? We received the Three of Wands upright, and this is expansion, foresight, and looking towards the future. Two of Pentacles upright. This is balance, juggling responsibility and duality. And the Queen of Cups upright. This is emotional depth, compassion, and intuitive sensitivity. This is the clearest yes that Spirit could give. There is a separation, a gap between the version of himself presented to the world and the version that Spirit is currently shaping in the dark. The Three of Wands shows us someone who is looking outward, planning long-term moves, and thinking strategically. This is the side the public sees, forward-facing, rational, preparing for what comes next with a posture of control. It's calculated, projected, composed, but not false, just curated. The Two of Pentacles reveals an internal dance beneath the surface, the emotional and energetic juggling act. This card is about duality, the man who is still trying to hold both worlds without fully surrendering to either. He is balancing legacy and conscious, appearance and authenticity, spirit and survival, and it's not easy. This isn't deception, it's self-preservation while figuring out which path leads to wholeness. And then, quietly but profoundly, comes the Queen of Cups. This card is his soul voice, gentle, wise, and deeply feeling. The Queen of Cups is the hidden spiritual current within him, the part that feels everything and wants healing, not just redemption. She shows us that his heart is not made of stone. There is emotional depth here, and he's starting to listen to it. But she lives in private, in the quiet moments, in stillness, not yet in action. Together, they're telling us that yes, there's a meaningful gap between Brett Kavanaugh's public persona and his private spiritual self. Publicly, he's poised and forward-facing. Privately, Spirit shows us someone in deep emotional flux, quietly evolving under the surface. He is juggling who he was with who he might yet become, and Spirit is gently urging his inner voice to grow louder. My next question was, is he aligned with truth and justice in his current SCOTUS rulings, or are there still conflicting motives present? We received the Empress upright, and this is nurturing, fertility, creation, protection, and divine feminine wisdom. Nine of Pentacles upright. This is independence, self-sufficiency, inner refinement, and earn rewards. And the Four of Wands upright. This is celebration, homecoming, foundations, and harmony. This spread is surprising, and in the best way. These cards don't scream deception. They don't even whisper it. Instead, they speak of alignment, rootedness, and a soul slowly siding itself with truth. The Empress arrives first like a spiritual guardian, draped in divine feminine power. She is the mother of sacred justice, not through punishment, but through nurture and restoration. Her presence here suggests that a higher force is actively influencing his rulings, nudging him to care, to protect, and to weigh decisions from a place of inner conscience rather than political calculation. This is not accidental. This is Spirit moving behind the curtain. Next comes the Nine of Pentacles, a card of independence and self-trust. Spirit is showing us that he is no one's puppet, not in a way that many might assume. He's starting to stand on his own spiritual legs. This card also carries quiet dignity, suggesting that he's trying to earn back something, even if he doesn't say it out loud. There's a desire to redeem his legacy through right action, not loud confession. And the Four of Wands, this card is foundational. It is sacred structure. This tells us that, at least in this chapter, he's trying to build something stable and just. There's a sense of wanting to be remembered for helping hold the house together, not burn it down. His rulings may reflect more inner clarity than people expect. Together, they're saying that yes, he appears to be aligning with truth and justice in many of his current rulings. Spirit suggests that although the past is complicated, the present energy is sincere. These cards point to influence from a higher power, a desire for personal integrity, and a deeper connection to justice than he may outwardly express. My next question was, will he play a role, whether silent or direct, in the unfolding of justice within the Supreme Court? We received the Five of Swords upright, and this is conflict, hidden agendas, difficult choices, and ego battles. The Queen of Swords upright, and she is wisdom, discernment, cutting through illusions, and clear judgment. Page of Wands upright. This is new beginnings, spiritual spark, and youthful courage. And the Knight of Cups reversed. This is emotional confusion, charm used to manipulate, and delayed authenticity. This is where it gets complex and incredibly important. The Five of Swords suggests that the court is not as united as it seems. Spirit is showing us that he will be present in these power plays, but possibly in ways that appear passive or diplomatic on the surface. He may not lead the charge, but he is not neutral. His presence matters. The Queen of Swords comes in like a divine order cutting through the fog. This is powerful. She tells us that there will be a moment of choice where the truth can't be evaded. And when that moment comes, Kavanaugh will be asked or forced to choose between alignment and self-preservation. The Queen of Swords doesn't miss. If he chooses truth, it will be with sharp discernment, possibly breaking from expected alliances. The Page of Wands says, something new is stirring. There's a younger energy rising in him, not youthful ignorance, but spiritual rebirth. A new courage, a readiness to act from a different core. If this awakening continues, Spirit confirms he could become a surprising voice in the shifts ahead. But the Knight of Cups reverse reminds us that emotional confusion still lingers. There's still old programming, ego, charm, and a temptation to fall back into people-pleasing or image protection. He may waver, he may delay, but Spirit is watching very closely. Together, they're saying that yes, he will likely play a role in the coming justice shifts. It may be subtle at first, possibly reluctant, but it will matter. Spirit says that he will have the opportunity to stand on the right side of history. Whether he seizes that opportunity fully is still unfolding, but his presence is part of the larger sacred strategy. My next question was, is Spirit working through him to bring balance or atonement in any way? We received the Eight of Pentacles reversed, and this is stagnation, resistance to growth, and missed lessons or distractions. The Moon reversed. This is truth emerging, illusions dissolving, hidden fears coming to light. Justice upright. This is divine order, accountability, cause and effect, and sacred truth. And the Seven of Swords upright. This is secrets, deception, strategic withdrawal, and karmic exposure. This is a spiritual reckoning in slow motion. The Eight of Pentacles reversed tells us that Spirit has been trying to get through to him for years, but he hasn't always listened. There's been resistance, avoidance, even spiritual laziness, but something recently shifted. Spirit shows us that his soul is no longer numb, and that's important. He may not be sprinting towards truth, but the ground beneath his feet has started to move. The Moon reversed is a major sign. Illusions are breaking, not just the illusions he cast outward, but the ones he told himself. Spirit is gently removing the veil, asking him to see what he's been, what he's denied, and what he's still capable of becoming if he chooses differently. There is pain in that unraveling, but also possibility. Justice Upright is the heart of this message. This card is not neutral here. Spirit is actively working through him, not because he's perfect, but because even imperfect vessels can be used for sacred rebalancing. Whether he knows it or not, he's becoming a karmic checkpoint, someone whose vote, whose silence, whose shift could affect the collective direction. He is being spiritually tested. And then the Seven of Swords upright. This is the whisper behind the curtain. Spirit says that he has seen things. He knows more than he admits. There are secrets that he's carried, some not his, some deeply personal, and Spirit is now shining light into those hidden corners, not to shame him, but to give him one last chance to choose differently. Together, they're letting us know that yes, Spirit is working through him, even if he doesn't fully realize it. He's being nudged towards atonement, accountability, and contribution to balance. His path is a fragile one, woven with past deception, quiet revelation, and a chance to become a quiet agent of sacred justice, but only if he continues to surrender to truth. And my last question was, what does Spirit want us to know about Brett Kavanaugh's spiritual path at this time? We received the Nine of Wands upright. This is resilience, spiritual fatigue, and standing guard after past battles. The Queen of Wands upright. She is inner strength, confidence, charisma, and a potential for bold truth. The Seven of Wands upright. This is defensiveness, opposition, spiritual test, and standing one's ground. And the last card for the session is the Mage upright. This is manifestation, spiritual tools in hand, personal power, and sacred choice. This is the clearest message yet, and it's full of tension, potential, and divine choice. The Nine of Wands shows as a man who is tired, not just physically, but spiritually. Spirit says that he's been carrying the weight of contradictions, wounded pride, guilt unspoken, and fear of collapse. And yet he's still standing. Spirit honors that, but they also warn that standing still in pain is not the same as standing in truth. We then receive the Queen of Wands, a surprise. This card is pure feminine fire. Spirit is telling us that his path is being shaped by feminine energy, even if he doesn't fully recognize it yet. This could be external, someone influential around him, maybe even internal, a rebalancing of his masculine and feminine within. Or it could be divine, Spirit's own form coming through feminine justice. This queen is not here to comfort. She is here to ignite, to burn away what's false, and she's already been at work. The Seven of Wands speaks of struggle, of spiritual resistance. He's been pushing back against something rising within him, possibly guilt, possibly truth, possibly a calling to change. Spirit says that he knows more than he says, and he's felt more than he shows. He's not fighting the world. He's fighting the version of himself he fears becoming if he lets it all in. And then the Mage. Spirit ends this with power. This card is the soul standing at the crossroads of destiny. It says, he has the tools to shift, to atone, to contribute to divine balance, but he must choose. Spirit is offering him alignment, but not forcing his hand. The Mage reminds us, we are all both students and spellcasters, even those that we least expect. Together, they're letting us know that Brett Kavanaugh is standing at a threshold. Spirit has given him the energy, the tools, and the invitations to change, to align with a higher truth, not just legally, but spiritually. His path is still being written, and the most important pages are just ahead. He is being called, but he has to answer. Every soul is born holding a mirror. Some spend their lives using it to reflect only themselves. Others, at some point, dare to turn it outward, to see the harm, the cost, the consequence. And when they do, something shifts. This is the season of mirror shattering, of illusions cracking loud enough to wake the sleeping parts of us. Even those we thought beyond redemption are not beyond spirit, but the reckoning is real. This man stands at the edge of an invisible trial, not of law, but of soul. A trial of what he allows himself to remember, of what he chooses to carry, of who he dares to become next. Spirit is not interested in punishment. Spirit is interested in transformation, but not everyone chooses to transform. So we do not excuse. We observe, we witness, we pray for justice that is divine, not performative, and we remember some of the most powerful shifts begin in silence long before they ever reach the light. Thank you so much for being here with me. I want to take a moment to say this clearly. This session is in no way meant to excuse or dismiss the pain, trauma, or lived experiences of any survivors. Their voices, their healing, and their truth matter deeply, and nothing in this reading is meant to silence or overshadow that. Spirit has been gently nudging me to check in on Brett Kavanaugh's energy for a while now, and after our recent SCOTUS pendulum reading, where Spirit confirmed that he was not aware of the contest shenanigans and is not involved in the cover up, that nudge became even stronger. I wasn't sure why at first, but as I sat with it, I understood. This isn't about praise or defense, it's about spiritual alignment. It's about the energy behind what's unfolding and where truth, karma, and free will all collide. So I followed that nudge and I shared what came through. Everything in this session is alleged and for spiritual insight and entertainment purposes only. I am simply the vessel. I do not claim control over people or events. I just share what Spirit whispers. Please always trust your own intuition. Take what resonates with your heart and lovingly leave the rest. If you have thoughts, insights, or questions that you'd like me to bring into a future session, I would truly love to hear them in the comments. I read every single one, and your voice matters here. Thank you for walking this path with me. You are seen, you are loved, and know that Spirit is walking with us through the unknown.